Hi, this is Barry from Sunken Railroad. Happy holidays. Today's video I want to go over some costs to get into this hobby. I did a lot of research online and trying to figure out what I would need to spend on this, understanding that your results may vary, and I'm going to give you some hints to drive some bargains and some value. But if you haven't seen my other videos, my project is restoring this Märklin 8910 Toporama to its original look, which is pictured on here, and there's a list of all of the track and stuff. So I'm going to get into, there's some 4 basic areas that I'm going to cover today. First one is track, buildings, power and controls, and then materials. I'm not going to get into tools because the most important thing when you're starting a project is to do some planning, especially in layouts. You know, if you decide to change your plan halfway through, there's a lot of rework that has to happen. So I used a program to sort of develop, hopefully you can see that, but develop what my plan was going to be for the track and the layout and how I was going to power it. Having started with this basic plan, the next thing you want to think about is how do you source this material. There's a few different ways to source. One way is through eBay. Another way is through online sources. I used Z-Scale Hobo with good results. Again, not being sponsored by anybody, just want to let you know. And I also have been using the Red Caboose in New York City, which is kind of fun because it's a cavern off of 5th Avenue, and it's just a lot of fun to walk in there, and it's like being in a toy cavern, so it's just awesome to go in there. I prefer to support people who have retail buildings because their rent is a little bit higher. Having said that, I also prefer to support people, and I'm a repeat customer. If you randomly buy your stuff from all of these different dealers, you're never going to benefit from having a relationship with a dealer, and they might give you better deals in the future, or start to know who you are and who they are. So eBay, you can buy everything on eBay. What I've found is it's kind of unreliable. I do get some bargains occasionally. I had to buy all of my buildings on eBay because they're no longer available through dealers. Some good sellers and some not so great sellers. The only thing with eBay is you never get exactly what you want. You might buy one piece of track, or you might buy a package that's got a bundle with 100 pieces of track, and you're probably going to end up with a lot of leftover stuff that you're going to have to resell. So you need to consider that if you do see a great bargain, or there's a lot of stuff on eBay that you might need, you might end up with a bunch of stuff that you don't need at the end of the day, and you're going to end up getting rid of it or storing it away. So I'm going to go over some actual costs and things. One of the goals of my project was to use original, brand new Märklin in the white box track. I didn't want to have to mess around with used track. Anything could potentially be bent. I'd like the whole layout to be with new track. Since I was able to find this Toporama brand new, I wanted all the track to be brand new as well. Here's how the track comes packaged now. It comes in a little vacuum formed thing, and I have basically all of the track. Here is a power power track. Again, it's formed in vacuum. And just to go over some basic costs, if you go to the Märklin site, I'll show you what the retail costs are. Overall, I've saved about 14% after taxes by buying it through a dealer and not buying it through, say, Märklin, or I didn't pay full retail because I went to a dealer and I said, listen, here's my list of stuff I need. I know it's a lot of money, but give me your best price. Talked to a couple different dealers, and I felt that again, the Red Caboose, your results may vary, but basically I have a spreadsheet with all of the track and showing exactly what I was going to spend plus tax, and at the end of the day I spent about $1,250 on track. That includes turnouts. One of the areas that I bought fully electric turnouts, one of the areas you can save on is if you buy manual turnouts, you can save about $10 a turnout. This Toporama requires 12 turnouts, so that was my single biggest expense. Second thing I did was I bought these I think they're kind of cool, these little uncoupler tracks. So this layout has 6 sidings, so I needed 6 of these. I also bought a bunch of these tracks that allow you to isolate. I guess this is an isolator track. So I bought 6 isolator tracks. So when I'm playing with the toy, I can isolate tracks, I can turn rails on and off. If you wanted to do this for a little more value, you could use a different track system. There's 4 different basic track systems that you can buy for Z-Scale without having to make your own track, which people do, and I'm highly respectful of anybody who makes their own Z-Scale track or turnouts, because that looks like real tedious work. You've got Rockacon, and I'm mispronouncing it, I apologize. But it's one thing I liked about that track. If I was building a layout complete from scratch or doing it, you know, without this Toporama thing, I probably would use that kind of track because the ballast is built in. The switches automatically divert the power depending on which way they're going, which I think saves a lot of wiring. So if you're turning it to a turnout, you flip the switch, the turnout becomes powered. You turn it the other way, the turnout gets isolated automatically. I think that's really cool. And it's very modular. I think it's what Märklin should be doing a little bit, making it a little bit more modular, a little more easy to understand. I had to spend a lot of time trying to figure out exactly how to hook up the Märklin stuff. Then you got Atlas. Atlas is, there's less of it available. I've got the Atlas catalog here, and I saw them last year in Springfield, and they have 1 page of Z-Scale track. They basically have Superflex track, 24 inches, and then they just came out with some turnouts, which you can see on the catalog. I'm sure you can look at it online. Pricing is great on this stuff. If you want to automate the turnouts, you have to buy the under the layout switches, which are kind of cool. Much more American and prototypical for what I think is like American turnouts, less European. And then the other brand of track, which is Micro Z. I think that's a really, really good value from what I've seen. The amount of track you get for the price on the card, and to me that seems like probably the easiest way track system to use. But those are the 4. If someone knows of another one, that's fine. I'm not trying to exclude anybody. These are just the 4 biggest ones. But because I started with this Toporama, you know, I really want to use Märklin stuff. So that's the track buildings I talked about in my last video. None of them are available anymore, brand new. And I bought those all on eBay. As far as the buildings go, I averaged about $37 a building, including paying for the tax and shipping. So sometimes I would get a building for $10, sometimes it was $40. So really the whole thing averaged out to about $37 a building. The second last area I want to talk about is power and controls. This is the transformer that was one of the 2 transformers that was ruined in the flood. It's completely useless. I wouldn't plug it in. I'd be afraid it would catch on fire or something. This thing is heavy. It's big and it weighs a lot. I don't know what the requirements are from the wattage, but I could do the math, I guess. But it's a 10 volt, 0.8 amp. It also has the output for the accessories, but I'm going to assume that this guy, I remember when I was a kid, this thing used to get warm when I would play with it. So I decided I was originally going to just find more of those things in better condition, but I decided to go with the modern Märklin transformer. It's got more detents and it allows you a little bit finer control. And the other thing is that the power requirements are much lower. This is a wall transformer, and this basically uses 12 watts at max. So this guy, both of these plugged in are just going to use way less power. So that's what I'm going to use for a transformer. Looking at the requirements for the controls, there, and I'll post a picture of this, but there are, if I was going to buy the Märklin control boxes, there's a 72720 or the 7272 uncoupler, and then there's the ones for the switches, which are momentary contact. I've got 12 switches, so I would need 3 of these controllers, and then I would need another 3 to control the uncouplers and the track isolators. So all in all, I would have to buy 6 of these at about $20 a piece. It'd be another $120. I haven't decided if I'm going to use these Märklin ones or if I'm going to make my own. I'm likely going to make a little aluminum panel that has the switches on it so I can control them. It'll just look nicer. Signaling. If you want to get into signaling, which I would like to get into, I may layer it on after I'm all done. Signaling adds a lot of cost. The Märklin signals are, I'm not saying they're not good value. I'm just saying it's a lot of cost. The relay is about $50, and then the signal is about another $50. So for every signal you want to put on your layout, it's about another $100, unless you're really clever with relays and you can do it yourself. If I was going to put signals on here, I would need 6 siding signals. I would need some station signals. I'm still reading up on how European signals work, and I haven't completely figured it out. I'd like to maybe at least one signal for the station would be kind of cool. We watch the signal go. But signaling, and if you wanted to add catenaries, that adds, again, a significant cost. So all in all, right now, well, that's the power and controls. The last thing is the materials. This right here is MDF. You can't see it because it's sort of nested in here, but I have a piece of MDF I bought. I bought a 4x8 sheet of it, and so this is the piece right here. This is what I'm going to be adhering the Toporama to in my next video. And then I have another 3 pieces which I'm going to use to block out the ultimate layout idea, which is this is going to become a coffee table. When my dad built this, it was more of a tray with little wheels on it, and you could push it under your bed and stuff. But what I want to do is make a coffee table layout where this is going to be inside a coffee table, and you lift it up and you can play with it then, show it to your kids, and then when you're not using it, you put it down and it's kind of a cool display. So that's the ultimate idea of what I'm going to do is going to, so I'm not going to talk right now about building the coffee table part of this. I just want to get the layout built and be able to use the layout. But because there's going to be, when he built this for me, it only had 2 wires. It had the inner track and the outer track, and it was very simply wired, and it wasn't a lot of work. But what I'm going to be doing with all the turnouts and all the sidings and all of the controls and things, this is going to have a lot of wire under it when I'm done. So I'm going to need to make some sort of a layered approach where I have an air gap in the middle to fit all the wiring and all the controls. So it's going to be a little bit different than it was when it was original. So I've got about $20 in MDF. I've got $40 in paint. And then I've got a bunch of tools. And I'm not going to talk about the tools, but all in all, in this whole endeavor of mine, I've got about $2,000 into everything. I've got $1,200 in track, about $370 in building, and then the Toporama on eBay was about $100, and then the transformers, for the 2 transformers, were about $230 with shipping. So those are my costs. Again, your results may vary, but I really don't mess around when it comes to stuff. I pre-plan, then I make my decisions and purchase all at once. And when I'm done with it, I have all of the materials. I have everything at my fingertips. I don't have to go out and change things. So that's all I have for today. Hope you enjoyed it, and appreciate everybody who's watching these, and stay tuned for me actually starting to do something. Thank you. Have a great holiday.